Welcome to the Accidental Farmer Podcast, the podcast that gives you the real dirt on farming. Today, I'm excited to have a new guest, Penny Musengi, the CEO and founder of Pesira Limited. She's a very dynamic woman who's doing great things in agriculture in the AgriFinTech space. We'll have to find out what that means. But before we start the podcast, I'm going to read her bio so we can get to know her better. Penny Musengi is the CEO and founder of Pesira Limited, an AgriFinTech company on a mission to digitize Africa's agriculture and drive financial inclusion for the small-scale farmers who make up 70% of the continent's population. With over 17 years of experience in leadership roles spanning finance, commerce, and economic development, Penny has led organizations such as ATS Travel Group and Raspberry Adams Group. She's also served as the Director of Finance at Enterprise Africa Limited and held key positions in banking. Her expertise in international business, finance, and project management has earned her recognition as a transformative leader. Penny is passionate about purpose-driven leadership, ethical business practices, and creating a positive global impact. In this episode, we'll dive into how technology and financial innovation can empower smallholder farmers and reshape Africa's agricultural landscape. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Penny.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Do you recognize that person?
Oh, I'm almost feeling like an imposter, but definitely I do.
No.
Thank you.
No, good.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things there. What comes out to me is ethical. I think when we talk about business, it's important to be ethical. And from what I know in agriculture, there are a lot of, just like every other sector, there are a lot of unethical things. But we will get into that. So I'm happy to hear the term ethical being associated into something around agriculture and, of course, in finance and technology.
Yes, and ethical means the long road, the long journey. Less trodden upon. Yeah.
The road less traveled.
Yes.
Okay. So Penny, tell us a little bit about your background, especially as it pertains to how you got into AgriFinTech.
Okay, so I have 17 years of experience in the bank, financial sector, but also at the same time I was doing social investment. I was running a trust called Delca Trust in conjunction with Chandaria Foundation. So I was on the ground and I could see that we are doing a lot of efforts in terms of food security, education, job creation for the youth. However, we're not hitting the nail. So combining my experience in banking and having been on the ground for 10 years, I thought about what is this thing that can support the farmer that can solve all our problems. Food security, be at the forefront of climate, create jobs. Look at the youth. Africa has the largest population of the youth. But then where will they go? Agriculture is the only one that can consume them and even give them opportunities, not only in technology, but being the farmer themselves. But then they don't have the ability to have financial products. In the bank, when I was there, traditionally, we're very averse to small-scale farmers. They don't have data. They're deemed very risky. But then they're at the forefront of all the driving engine in the economy, from the off-takers, supermarket, cosmetic, you name it. Even if it's like larger, even if you say, you were mentioning Nivea, EABL, they all need a small-scale farmer. So I thought, how can we support them and give them a product, but also make them credit-worthy, so that when they go in front of any financial institution, they can do that. Hence, Pesira was born. And it was born by putting the small-scale farmers' interest at heart, ensuring that they're sustainable, and then giving them information. But not even that. We looked at everything in the market. All the information the farmer was getting, they would have to pay for. If, let's say, they need a credit rating, they'd pay for it. If they want to have farm management tools to be digitized, to get information of market linkages, where to get contracts, what kind of value chains they require. So we thought, why not give a platform where everything is free, but then make the farmer credit-worthy, but then it's his choice. Where to get the financial products? Can they be connected to which value chains and market linkages? But then even give them a better refined credit rating, because a farmer doesn't have statements. A farmer maybe is trading off the system or has a receipt from the market. So hence Pesira.
Wow, okay. So this innovation this idea came to you from the work that you were doing? Because this is quite progressive.
Yeah. But then also the work I was doing, but I was also on the ground. We used to do a lot of youth entrepreneurship center. I sat on the TVET task force to look at how can we implement jobs for the youth. But then I was like, we are making progress, but then we're not really empowering them. And the population, the largest, is small-scale farmers. Let's empower them with the right information, the ability to access the financial support they require. Let them be at the forefront of driving the change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pesira sits at the intersection of agriculture, finance, and commerce. Yeah?
Yes.
So why is that so important for small-scale farmers?
It is. Initially, the farmers have challenges in accessing inputs and supplies. And even if, let's say, they were to go to a traditional bank and they said they needed financing for inputs, they would be skeptical, thinking that they'll divert the funds, right? So we thought, first of all, we've already ensured they're creditworthy. We give them free transactional ledgers. We give them more refined credit rating, which is your usual mobile money, but agronomical data. They can come with a receipt, a contract they have with an off-taker. And even that, we give them market linkages. But the farm management data, we ensure that things like they've used certified seedlings, they've done the best practice, also qualifies them to be creditworthy. However, why not link it to a marketplace where now they can get inputs and supplies? So the bank pays the supplier, the farmer just goes to the location 5 kilometers or 10, it gets the inputs and supplies. After that, how do we ensure that they can be able to repay? Again, we've linked them to a market linkage. So they have a contract, but then they're doing best practice. So you're sure this produce is going to go to market. However, even with your stories and other stories that we've had, things can go wrong with the farmer, environment, the climate, the buyer can refuse to offtake. So how do we support the farmer? We also do embedded finance. So some of the fertilizer is insured. So ensure the produce. We also ensure that we're ensuring the loan. So let's say they're getting 10,000, 200 remains in the wallet to ensure the loan. If it's, let's say they're getting 100,000, 1,000 remains in the e-wallet to ensure the loan. So we're looking at how do we secure the farmer as well. So now the intersection of technology, because data-driven insights are key, and then commerce. Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the biggest financial and digital challenges that small-scale farmers face? Financially, you have talked a little bit about
Yes.
digital.
Digital is access and awareness, utilization. So we do a lot of capacity training toward that. The beauty is that there's a difference between people talking about technology and digital. Okay. 90% or plus, even the rural old lady uses M-Pesa to even get Fuliza. So they have a bit of knowledge, know-how. Yes. So it is, how do you also disseminate something simpler in their language, in their day-to-day, simplify it so that it is usable. So it is the training and the knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've made strides in that.
We've made strides in that. What we do is we use cooperatives, association, farmer groups to really go on the ground. Yeah. We do a lot of partnerships so that we sensitize them from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And how does financial inclusion, because this is what it seems to be, impact the overall agricultural economy in Africa?
It does. Let me give an example. Yeah. There was one large off-taker who was in our market, Nakumat.
Okay.
The largest suppliers were farmers.
Yes.
Aggregators who are getting their produce from farmers. However, the suppliers are not financed. So once they were not paid, they couldn't deliver the produce. Yes. And then on this other side, they couldn't pay the farmers. So everyone collapsed, right? Yes. So the farmers are at the forefront for that. If they have inputs, they've been financed to get the inputs. They've been financed to have, through the venture. Yes. They know that this is the value chain I'm in. If I'm growing maize, I'm off-taking to an aggregator who's off-taking to Farmer's Choice, yellow maize for the pig. Now, if they have that information, definitely the economy is consistent. But then there are things that, like price correcting starts working. You have a place where everyone sees the price of fertilizer. You have a place where someone sees they can do a maize calculator where you say, if I'm growing X, this is what I'm going to get from the market. So you can pre-plan. So you find the population can be fed, but also the economy continuously grows. Then there are more farmers that are viewing agriculture not only as a hobby, but a sustainable business venture. Yeah.
You use the term hobby. A lot of farmers that I know, or urbanite telephone farmers.
Yes.
In fact, the term that the accidental farmer came about from the fact that I joined farming accidentally. It was
Yes.
something I thought, I have a piece of land somewhere, I need to do something with it, and let me start farming. And many times we just jump in with both feet. We don't do the preliminaries that I've now come to learn very critical to farming, doing like soil testing, finding out which crops can grow, where don't grow something that you haven't found a buyer for, that kind of, and all the things that pertain to that. So a lot of what you're saying is resonating in that we don't even know that there are tools that can assist people.
So we've done is we've partnered with a lot of development partners, off-takers, to give free information to the farmer. So if a farmer comes to Pesira, you'll get information on your location, on your weather, the value chains that you're in, whether what to grow. But even if you indicate the value chains you're in, how else can we link you? Let's say you have 2 acres. Can you do commercial trees? Right? So we have partners that can give you those trees. Also, can you intercrop? Can you do regenerative agriculture? If you need an agronomist, can you just get them on the platform? So we are really putting the farmer first, empowering them, and then having one collective place that all these ecosystem players can disseminate the information to the farmer freely.
How long has Pesira been?
We've been around 2 years now.
I'm fascinated. You've been... Okay, you should have been around when. Anyway, you are around.
We're around
so
now.
We'll take advantage of that. So, do you have any success stories? I know 2 years is a bit.
I do.
Do you have, or at least budding stories of farmers that have benefited from?
Yes, we do.
From not only the digital financial tools, but from being on the Pesira platform.
We do have farmer stories. There's one called Zakaria in Kirinyaga. He came with us from the beginning. That was 2 years ago.
Okay.
He's really grown even to become one of the agronomists and our regional agents. And he's already going from being in 2 acres, grown to like 20-something acres, already off-taking to large aggregators in the platform. And then now, he also now is one of our representatives in Kirinyaga. We also have suppliers that initially would only be supplying to a certain location. But then now you're like, okay, I can be able to supply to 20 locations, but I have enough data, for example, like Farm Track, to tell me I can do organic fertilizer or organic organic fertilizer, train organic practices to farmers. But then I can get the data to know it is Nakuru for potato that needs it more. It is a farm in Narok that is doing X that needs it more. So then now they're growing. Or we've gotten farmers that are saying we have 100 tons of avocado, but they don't know how to take it. Now, with our partnership with KRF's, Kenya Rural Farmer Centers, we're able now to get those farmers to take their avocados to those centers. And then the off-takers that are looking for them are able to use them. We also have Papolax and Akabal doing 6,000 goat farmers, right? And recently now they're off-taking to Dubai. You've seen the white eggs in the supermarkets. We've been importing those. So we are starting now to have farmers who have been trained through the platform to do their white eggs, including now knowing that they can have markets. So in your 2 acres, you can have a small side and put chicken. So with Kabal and Papolax, they've taken that to be able to take to Carrefour or to Naivas. So we have a lot of success stories, but interlinkages through the platform.
Wow. How many people are on this Pesira platform? How many farmers?
We have over 360,000 farmers. We are aiming to hit 1 million plus. And I know you're going to ask me the next question, how we get them on. We do rapid adoption.
Okay.
So we work with cooperatives.
Okay.
A cooperative will come with their 10,000.
People who are aggregators or have aggregated or put people together.
Yes, together. Like KRFC will come with 30,000 farmers. Someone else will come with another 5,000, including even suppliers. They have a database, but they don't know what do we do with these farmers that we have. Can we also put them in certain projects from our larger suppliers, right? Who can give them information on what pesticide to use, but they need to be on the platform. So that's how we've grown. And all the farmers, we digitize them for free. So the farmer gets the free transactional ledgers, free credit rating, agronomy services, farm management, market linkages, access to inputs and supplies, be able to go and choose whether to buy on loan, which financial institution to look at. We've partnered with APA and MTech through Britam. As little as 50 shillings, they can get either produce cover for 50,000, hospital cash bash, because A single farmer is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So if he's sick,
Yes.
that's it.
That's true.
It stops, right?
Yeah.
So we've covered the farmer all through.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. So you're not only focusing on covering the crops,
Yes,
but the farmer as well.
the farmer as well. We even
quite...
do life cover, last mile. Yeah.
Oh, great. So Pesira has a number of the platform has you have a number of products.
Yes.
Under it, right?
Yes.
You've got the financial, you've got Farm Connect.
Yes.
The marketplace, and the
Yes.
data insights. I want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the solutions you have and the impact they've had. You've talked about the financial platform.
Yes.
And where you integrate the lenders and the insurance providers. So how does it work in practice for a small scale farmer looking for credit? For example, myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Already on the platform.
Yeah.
You go and shop around. Maybe you want machinery, fertilizer, drip pipes.
Yeah.
You're in a certain location.
Yeah.
So when you go to checkout, already the system has calculated your credit rating, but not your usual M-Pesa mobile money. It also has taken into account, are you using certified seedlings? Have you gone to market? Do you have a receipt that you can add? So it gives you a more refined credit rating. So financial institution, it takes less than 10 minutes to get back and say, this is what you're worth, or this is what you can get, 10,000.
Yeah.
So on checkout, your inputs are covered. You get a code on your phone. You can go now collect your input and supply from location X. Because we also have 161 suppliers on the platform mapped out across the country in radiuses of 5 to 10 kilometers. Then with our partnership with Little, it can either be delivered to you or you can go and collect. So that's one way. The other is you can intentionally go to the financial services and choose, do I want a loan or do I also want insurance? Then you say, I want to cover my livestock, maybe I want to cover my crop, or I want to take a hospital cashback.
Yeah.
Then if let's say also we have programs that we're running, and this is where the Farm Connect is very critical.
Yes.
It could be like now we've been running some campaigns with Grecon on irrigation, free agronomy services, or we're doing embedded finance for fertilizer. So you buy a bag of fertilizer from some of our suppliers and you get insured for free. So we'll disseminate that information to you and tell you, if you go to this supplier, maybe Thermofield, you'll be able to get this inputs, but then you're being insured for free. So that is one of the way for the farmer. Yeah.
So what is, define for me a small scale farmer?
Small scale farmer is 2 acres and even less, doing like most of your crops, maybe maize, beans, doesn't have the ability to really scale and doesn't have that information. The beauty is that we've started even aggregating those small scale farmers to land. We have land aggregators now on the platform.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then what this does is it ensures that they continuously have 4 to 5 year contracts and they have off-takers. But even from the small scale farmer, they still can have off-takers because in those 2 acres, it's sufficient for them to do a crop that someone is willing to buy, especially like fresh produce. The short-term ones, the 3 months, 4 months. Yes. So those are the small scale farmers. Yeah.
And what safeguards have you put in place to ensure that small scale farmers then don't fall into debt traps?
Okay.
Yes.
So first things first, we've made them credit worthy and ensured that there's no risk of diversion of funds because they're getting inputs.
That's a big problem. Actually, in any business, that's a business problem. More
on this
than
other side, we really support the farmer with a lot of financial capacity building, but also we try to encourage them to be in cooperatives and circles because then they're more disciplined. They will benefit from the membership of, let's say, marketing, all those other aspects that a small scale farmer needs, even getting the right information, integral information, because the information is not that it's by roadside declaration, oh, now the maize tomorrow, like what's happening in Narok. And then you plant and then you don't have an off-taker, right? And then also on the other side, we really match our farmers with aggregators or agro-processors. So if the farmers on our platform have the ability now to get a contract. So it's easy then they know that I've gotten a loan, but I also have an off-taker. They've guaranteed me. By the time it comes to repayment, they repay the bank on my behalf. And then I get what is surplus that's coming to my account. Yeah.
So I'm gasping because I'm just thinking this is such an important thing. All farmers should be on this platform.
Yes.
Because farming, just like business or enterprise, can be a very lonely journey. If farmers really struggle.
It is.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is a mental health practitioner. She's a clinical psychologist. And she says the amount of mental anguish, there's serious mental health challenges for farmers.
Yeah.
Because of the unpredictability, the things you're talking about.
And even the loneliness in
it's very solitary. You're right.
It is very
lonely.
solitary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you don't have the right information.
Yeah.
And you're not sure where to take the produce, whether you're doing the best practices.
Yeah.
And then maybe a disaster happens.
Yeah.
So it's very solitary in that aspect.
That's true. And by having a platform, you're effectively building a community.
It is.
So people can, and that helps.
Yeah. And to support the farmer, we went and built a community for all other ecosystem players. So we do have agri-suppliers, but then we also have aggregators, agro-processors in the system. They're what we call retail, from supermarkets, beauty, cosmetics, restaurants, also in the system.
Okay.
Then the larger off-takers, they're far removed from the farmer, but they still require the farmer.
Yes.
And if you're looking at things of CSR, what's not best for them to actually put some of that money to training and capacity building, and even ensuring the farmers have the correct seeds. So we're really lobbying for them to be on the platform. And then we looked at who else has been the biggest supporter of agriculture, development partners. But then they lack insights and visibility. But then with the Farm Connect, they can be like, okay, we said we're going to subsidize fertilizer in Makueni. Now, in Pesira platform, can we write to all the farmers in Makueni for them to respond to say whether they're in that program and they actually receive the subsidies?
Yes.
Because farmers usually say, we know there was a program running around, we saw people, but it didn't trickle down to us. So now that gives confidence, and that is where integrity comes in and accountability.
Yes.
So the entire system is interlinked with the sole benefit of the farmer being the person that is going to be sustainable, and impact is driven to them.
So Farm Connect, we've got the financial platform,
Yes.
which you've talked about credit, insurance.
Yes.
Farm Connect is about disseminating information.
Accountability.
And accountability.
Yes. Okay. Running programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the third solution that under Pesira I want to talk a little bit about is the marketplace.
Yes.
Because that is key to farmers.
Yes.
Many of us jump into farming because we hear onions. You can't go wrong. Then everything goes wrong. But ultimately the problem is the market. Who are the off-takers?
Yes.
Who will buy my product when my produce when it's ready?
Yes.
At what price will we buy it at?
Yes.
And things like that. So through the marketplace, do you assist farmers to get buyers? Do you match? Is it matching or
we match? We also use the Farm Connect to put out a call out, like what we did for avocados.
Yes.
Right now we're doing a call out to livestock, poultry, bee. We have a partner coming on board called Savannah, and they'll give farmers 5-year contracts, including Savannah honey.
Okay,
so they'll give you the beehive.
I've heard of them, yes.
Yeah, they'll give you the beehive, give you the training, and a 5-year contract. Okay. So we do a call out to all the 365,000 farmers. We're like, who wants to on board? But not only that, we want it to be in a place that even the aggregator, agro-processor, because usually they take certain quantities, because also they don't have information of the larger market. No. They don't have the information of the large off-takers like Univia, EABL, even outside market. Now, we are able to provide that market. So they know if we've been doing 1 million tons, can we increase it to 2 million? And then can we start supporting our farmers to capacity build them, give them the inputs so that they also grow to that. So as the market is growing, of course, then the farmers are also growing in the value chains that they can play in, including regenerative agriculture, also getting into climate, as we mentioned about the commercial trees. What other practices? The 2-acre, they can still get into honey because there's market. Yeah. So we are linking the entire market, but also the information is both ways. You know that there are X farmers doing X value chains. Can they be able to grow to other value chains? Can they be supported? On this other side, the off-takers know this is the market. How much is needed in this market? You'll be surprised. A lot of off-takers are only taking 30% from Kenya, 20% from Kenya. Potato seedlings are not even there. Yet, if our farmers knew that is a market, they would grow that if they are supported with the right seeds. So it's now this Farm Connect disseminating the information. Yeah,
bringing everybody together and sharing.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other products I want to talk about, data insights. What's that about? I mean, data is critical to everything, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah. So how are the data insights helping development partners and NGOs and government support farmers better? How is that?
I'll even first start with financial institutions, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The lack of data has made it be that they were shying away from small-scale farmers and agriculture. They were preferring to finance the businesses, but even they finance the businesses, they finance you as any other business.
Yeah.
So even the interest rates are punitive and the repayment periods are shorter, right?
So they don't take into account the intricacies of the business itself.
Yes. So now with data, they can finance the farmer based on the seasons, give them some grace periods, curate products that actually suit them, like not the insurance of 50 shillings or even insuring the loan.
And it's happening.
It's
This
happening.
is something that is actually happening.
Yes. And then we have Pesira Financial Insights, which gives the entire agricultural health. It shows what value chains are performing, which ones are not, which ones are defaulting. But then what that does is development partners can start thinking, how can we grow the ones which are not performing? As financial institutions are like, the ones which are performing, can we incentivize them?
Yes.
And now even support more? So that's one way of data. Now, when it comes to development partners, we've been seeing that they've been around for so long. But then why aren't things changing? Do we have enough data to show that they've supported maize, beans, honey, research and policy? Has that worked? It hasn't, because then we'd be having considerable amount of data. Now with the insights, they can target an area. They can say, these are the value chains. We're going to work with, this is a development partner. We're going to work with 50 investees. They're on the platform. These 50 investees will work with 1,000 agro dealers. They're on the platform. They will be supporting 50,000 farmers. They're on the platform. Now, the data is real time, no matter where they're seated in Netherlands, the US. What they'll do is they'll be able just to use the data to show from 50 million disbursed, how much has actually gone to the program. And then they can real time ask the farmer through the Farm Connect. So now have the right insights to run the programs effectively and have the key players who are actually going to be the people really down the ground to do that, and then collect the data to show, is $1 impacting this farmer's livelihood by $10? What have you changed? Have you changed ensuring that they're doing sustainable practices? Do they have a market? Do they have jobs? Are their children going to school? That whole entire household have their livelihoods improved. Yeah.
Okay.
Now for government,
yes,
and this is where it is interesting, because you have to lead first. First, you have to be ahead. The government comes later.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. What we've done is work with a lot of partners who can lobby for policy and regulation, but at the same time, we start now having those conversations with government associations and institutions, right? We are free to have them be on the table and use our data, because our data will provide it freely, right? Because our goal is, can everyone be digitized? And at the same time, can it support agriculture? So we are seeing governments requesting us, interesting enough, not in Kenya, right? Right.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Not in Kenya, but in Kenya, we have government institutions that are using the data. And most importantly, to improve extension services, the agronomy services, and this subsidies, because that has been a very tricky conversation. It's either too late, too little, or it's missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So all these are ways in seeing how data and the data analytics can actually improve the productivity.
Yes.
For small-scale farmers.
Even planning.
Even planning, yeah?
Yeah, because you can say, I've been doing beans now, but the data shows in the next 3 years, I need to be planning to go to avocado.
Yeah.
How do I start planning towards that? Who can support me in training me, even in terms of soil preparation? You've seen the data. Only 20% of our soil right now is arable.
Yeah. Wow.
That is pause for thought, right?
It is, yeah.
So how can the data that we have, we start planning? What fertilizer are we using? What best practices? Which market is going to be available then? Yeah. So data is very critical.
How about AI? The word that is bandied around quite a bit.
True. So we are also implementing AI. We got lucky getting support from Google, because that would have been a costly venture, especially for a small startup.
Yeah.
So we have AI that the farmer can chat, and it gives it like information like, Nyandarua, what practices should I use? Where the financial institutions that suit me? Which markets are around me? Who can I be linked with? What programs are running? So it's be able to give that information. But then we want it to be more intuitive and predictive.
Yeah.
So we are working towards that in the next 3 months, so that any player can utilize it, and it can just suit and know, Joe is on the platform. Okay, Joe, this is what you need, right? This value chain that you're in, maybe the market is only, or your off-taker is not going to be able to off-take. We are predictive that you need to go into X value chains. This is how much you can get from the financial institutions. This is what we feel you need to go into programs. From the soil testing, from your agronomist report, this is what you need to do. So we want it to be more predictive and intuitive to all the farmers.
Wow. It's interesting because I think, before we started the podcast, I was telling you many farmers, including myself, will be skeptical whenever we hear agri-tech.
Yeah.
We start saying, with the priorities we have, we don't need more technology in terms of,
You don't need more, and you don't need
to. You don't need
to pay for it.
Yeah, but now listening to you,
yes,
my perspective is changing.
Okay.
That if it's used appropriately,
yes,
and correctly, then it can be of great benefit to the farmers.
It will.
Because we don't have, there's either lack of information or misinformation.
Yes.
Is what guides a lot of the decisions we take. And that's why we get into the challenge or the problems that we have. You have another product, digitize, is that right?
Yes. And that's the one now, agro processors. This could be like your avo oil, they use, aggregators use. Large off-takers.
Yes.
This would be like, say, your Nestle, your BAT, they'd use that.
Okay.
And even large supermarkets.
Okay.
Then also development partners. And we've also have a product for financial institutions, which they may not come to the platform to give their products, but they want to consume that refined data for the farmer. So they ask us to integrate with them.
Yes.
And so we digitize. We call it financial insights.
Okay.
Then they put all their farmers in it. Then it gives them a refined credit rating, refined e-wallet, transactional ledgers. But also at the same time, it gives them, like, this farmer is in this value chain. They are the off-taker is here, the contract is here. So they can just trace the farmer and see, okay, so now we're looking at Joe in a different lens.
Yes.
Not the Joe just walks in and we say, where are your documents? No. You don't look like we can give you a loan and support you.
We can support you.
Yeah, so similar to development partners, we digitize them, and then they have oversight of the entire ecosystem, and they can disseminate programs, pick who to partner with in the programs. Like now we have matched quite a bit. So that's the entire digitize.
A lot of things, Penny, eh? Big things.
Yes.
Or hard things. We were told to do hard things. We don't.
Yes.
And solving, somewhat complex problems.
Yes.
What do you see? What is the future of AgriFinTech, say, in the next 5 years? 5 years from now, where is Pesira? Where is AgriTech?
I'll start with AgriTech. We'll see. We're going to see a lot of utilization, especially specialized. You'll find the people that are going to specialize maybe in soil technology, weather technology, mechanization. In fact, mechanization is one of the biggest one that is going to really boost AgriTech. Sort of the traditional way of expecting a small-scale farmer in 2 acres to buy a big tractor for 10 million.
Yeah.
No, can we have smaller ones? Maybe a working tractor? Or can I have one for only 200,000? And they're there. And then me, Joe, and 2 other people collectively
our community can benefit from that.
We're starting to see people going towards technology of better fertilizer. They're testing, right? So it's going to be very specialized. However, collaboration is key. It's not going to be singular. Platforms like Pesira would have to collaborate with a lot of other players so that there's a single source for the entire ecosystem to get or to plug in, to either have operational efficiency for farmers to access all the ag tech they require from one place. For example, like now Pesira, we have Map My Crop. You can sit here and be able to view your farm. You can ask for soil testing from Pesira. You can ask for an agronomist from Pesira. So we are plugging in with everyone, right? So, and that's the future of ag tech, collaboration. But in Africa, it's the new frontier. It's going to be huge because we have not yet even scratched the surface. Yeah. Now, for Pesira, our aim is to digitize all farmers for free. Our target, the next 3 years, to have 5 million farmers on our platform. With the partnerships that we have, we're expecting to go to 15 countries. That target is to digitize 33 million farmers, and we'll be able to support them. And then we digitize the entire ecosystem because you look at one value chain and take everyone together because collectively, that's what's going to work. You do price correction of inputs. You have better commodity prices for farmers, for market linkages. You're able to lobby for policy change. You're able to sit on the table with financial institutions to lower interest, curate products specifically for agriculture. Because truth be sold, the same product was in the 1990s, the same one that's been peddled for agriculture, right? Yeah.
Wow, lofty goals, big, but it's possible. It can be done. Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. What are some of the barriers you're finding for farmers, small scale farmers, adopting some of these digital financial solutions or some of the products that you've talked about?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Bad experience.
Mhm.
Right? They could have been other products in the market that charged them, but then didn't give them the accurate value, or they were programs that really didn't support them or trickle down effectively.
Okay.
And even given the support, having Android phones, because you find majority will be using USSD, but then we can also deliver Pesira using USSD, but then want to transition them.
Okay.
So which partner can we get to get a phone for 700? They're paying 10 shillings because Android phone will give them more refined information, and they'll have a lot of other people plugging in to support them. And the other is...
By that Android, you mean smartphones? Or?
Smartphone.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The other is there used to be a cost element to it.
Yes.
Because for them to have farm management, they have to pay. For them to access that accreditation, they have to pay. So we've reduced that barrier because all those things we provide for the farmer for free.
And we are skeptical of free things.
You are skeptical of free things.
It's a human
nature. We are able to pay ourselves with the platform through our partnerships and other programs and solutions we have. Okay. It's only the farmer that we're supporting for free. Okay. Yeah.
And what role do you see government? You've kind of talked about financial institutions playing in accelerating this digital financial adoption or digital adoption in agriculture, especially government. What role do you see them playing?
So government, if we go even with the Kampala Declaration, where government was to set aside 10% of their budget to support agriculture. Yes. So we will be really calling with a lot of other partners, and New Zealand partners are putting government to task. Yeah. Even data. Now, there's government data, but also there's private data where we show where has government been spending in agriculture. Now, we are going to start working with partnerships to provide that data. So we'll call them to the table to be like, okay, this is what us guys are doing. Can we complement to what you're doing? And then if it's financial, can you have a policy that says agri-finance is cheaper by 2%?
Yes.
Tanzania has already gone ahead with that, right? Oh. If it's budgeting, can 10% go to agriculture? What industries are you supporting in agriculture in terms of processing, etc. you're putting together? In terms of export, what are you supporting them? Are you doing subsidies for fertilizer? Are you supporting them in terms of tax exemption, etc.? Yeah. So there's a lot the government can do. And you'll find collectively, if we lobby together, that can be achievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So government has a critical role.
It's very critical.
Yeah.
In fact, even look at infrastructure. Yeah. You can have all the technology you need, but then if you can't get your goods from point A to B, the cost is higher. And then you're finding other countries are beating us off because infrastructure is better than ours. Yeah. We might have the best produce, and we do know the value chains that Kenya beats everyone else. Yeah. But we can also grow those value chains. But it's infrastructure. Yes. It's the cost of production.
Even the accessibility.
Accessibility.
We're growing things, but we can't get them to the market.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let's as we close, I've learned a lot, especially because of my bias being a small scale farmer.
Yes.
Thinking, how would I get onboarded into this platform? Me or any other small scale farmer listening, how would we join Pesira? Yeah.
So we are on Google Store. They can download the app.
Okay.
They can go to our website.
Okay.
They can get information of how, but it's very simple. Once they just download the app, they can self-onboard. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's your vision for Pesira and Africa's agricultural ecosystem in the long run? What's your vision?
The vision is to have over 50 million in the next 5 years, farmers, be sustainable, be at the forefront of food security, not just for themselves, because a farmer can be a farmer and they're hungry, right? The venture is sustainable in that 2 acre. They can pay for their food, pay for school fees, pay for any venture. So Pesira will interlink that. whether they want it to be in their country or off country, because we'll provide for them all the information. So the market linkage, they will choose. Do you want to sell here or sell and offtake there? But then the farmer will have the knowledge at their four fingers for anything to do with environment, climate, best practices, financial inclusion. So we will be putting the farmer first. So we want to ensure that those are the farmers that are there. But for the entire ecosystem, one place where they can communicate each other to support the entire ecosystem. Price correct of input and supplies, commodity exchange. You'll know if I'm growing X amount of maize, this is the price I'm going to get. And then this is the market and it's visible, right? In terms of policy and regulation, technology collapses the barriers of physical boundaries, right? However, later you find policy and regulation has to come on board.
Yes.
So by the time we've collapsed that we are so many that we are speaking a singular language, then the governments and policymakers will have to also sit on the table and support us.
They'll be compelled to listen.
Yes, compelled.
Yes.
For development partners and other ecosystem players that support agriculture, they will see the value because they will have accountability and insights. They can be able to monitor their programs. They wouldn't have to feel like now we put money for the past 10 years or 50 years, but we can't see value. There are so many that are leaving the market, and it's because of that. They've run programs, but they're shutting down some programs, which is detrimental to us because we still require them, right? But then we don't require the necessarily aid. We just need to be supported to be sustainable because we can, right? So that's the future of Pesira in terms of how we will not only become a successful venture, but collectively support the entire agricultural ecosystem.
Fantastic. Finally, you did allude to it when you said about the Play Store, but where can we learn more about Pesira? Would we go to your website?
You can go to our website,
which is
pesira.io.
Pesira.io.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Pesira Technologies.
Okay.
You can find us on Instagram, Pesira Technologies. Find us on X, again, Pesira Technologies.
Okay.
And we are usually very vocal.
Yeah.
And then we are in a lot of farmer groups, right? So you'll find us there as well.
So in all the usual social media channels,
you're very present.
Yeah.
We're very present.
Actually, that's what I found you through,
and
through
then,
our social media channel.
Yeah, and then locally on ground, we have 16 farm centers where we're working with Kenya Rural Farmer Centers. So you can find us in those counties. For example, like Kirinyaga, Nakuru, Bomet, Makueni. We are recently also going to Mombasa. So we're going to start giving out the information for all those centers. So if, let's say, you want to engage us virtually, digitally, but then you also want to go physically, you'll be able to find us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Penny, I want to thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
And for telling us about Pesira and the big plans you have for transforming agriculture from the way we know it.
Yes.
You know, when we look at agriculture, we think of it still from a very traditional perspective. But if we're going to transform it, we have to change the narrative.
That's true.
And I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're doing it well. And we will support you. We'll join the platform. I'll tell my farmers and the people who listen to this podcast, please join Pesira and see what it can do for your business.
Yes.
But it requires participation from both of us. From both parties.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It's only as good as how much we put into it. What you put in, what you get out is what you put in, right?
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Joe, for having me.
No.
And even from being an accidental farmer and sharing your experience, this has been enjoyable.
No, thank you very much, Penny. Yeah. So there you have it. We've just concluded a very exciting episode on the Accidental Farmer podcast, where we've had the privilege to listen to the very knowledgeable and very dynamic Penny Musengi tell us about Pesira Limited and the things that it can do for us as small-scale farmers.